In this video, I will provide a demonstration of Office Solver's workflows, or the workflow. Workflows are used to solve problems and develop solutions through collaboration using a repeatable sequence of steps, tasks, rules designed to move work from initiation to completion effectively or and efficiently. So before I show the workflow application, allow me to discuss it a little bit more. The Office of a workflow basically, and this is the workflow form. This is the beginning point where you would go to start a new workflow or define a workflow. As you could see, it has three basic phases: analyze, implement, and verify. So each of these phases ideally will be assigned to a different individual. That individual will log in, perform um, perform the desired requirement for that phase, whether it's to analyze a problem, implement a solution, or verify. And after that assigned person has done their work, that work will be reviewed by a board. So the first thing that will be done, and this will be demonstrated in the workflow, is a board of reviewers will be assigned to this particular workflow. And of course, the workflow will have certain categories, which we'll talk about in detail later. This workflow moves very quickly. The video moves very quickly, so you may have to pause it at times. Um, so I'm going to try to adjust the speed before we get started so that it doesn't move too fast. So this is an automated program that I designed just to implement workflows. So we're back into the workflow form that I just described. We're adding the categories. In this case, we're assuming this is a software workflow. So it could be some software bug that's being worked. Notice that the name of the person logging in is Nathan. That name is going to change, so just something to note. So Bill Jones was assigned to the review board. We selected a project for the workflow. And again, this is the creation phase or the new phase. And we're going to add a note. So Nathan assigned the workflow to John Smith. That was the first step, and Nathan defined the workflow. So when the workflow is created, at each phase, a email is sent out, a notification email to the respected parties that have a job to do. So here we've logged in as John. We're in the analysis phase. So presumably John is doing the analysis. He's going to write a comment. So once John receives the assignment to perform an analysis, he essentially doesn't do anything to this workflow except add the results of his analysis. And I'm just, of course I have dummy data here. So John has submitted it to the next phase, which goes to the reviewers or the review board. Bill Jones is on the review board. Bill received an email notifying him that the analysis is done. And so now Bill is going in and adding his comments, of course, after reviewing the analysis. And he could determine whether to accept the workflow or the work that's been done, or reject it and move it back to the previous phase. But if he decides to move it forward, he he will assign it, or the review board will assign it to the next person. They will be notified, and then they would log in, and that's the way the process works. So this demonstrates collaboration among team members in solving a problem or and developing a solution. So this could work for any type of collaboration on a particular problem. So we're reviewing the implementation. We've already moved on through the implementation phase. The status shows you the phase that we're in. I see Bill is logged in. He's reviewing. He's on the review board, so he's responsible for reviewing the implementation. So the only thing that's happening here, and of course, all the comments are captured in the bottom of the workflow itself, so you can see the sequence of events, what was done, who reviewed it, and what was said in each phase. So apparently John was assigned to perform the verification. And so he's going to go off and verify the software, could be test the software, and then come back and make his comments here, which is exactly what happened. The review board, in this case, Bill, he will then receive a notification that the verification has been done. So he's going to review the verification, as you can see here, and decide whether it needs to be, whether this workflow can be closed or whether it should be rejected and transitions to the previous stage, or a previous stage. I see that Bill decided to close it. And you see the comment. So, so that